Hello, this is the Casual New Gamer back at you with another video. Oh yeah, video, yeah. What is this? Is this food or part of my shirt? I don't know. Anyway, I want to talk to you about Drag X Drive or Dragon Drive. It is releasing on the 14th of August. The test demo is was out. I played it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the controls. But here's the thing. I think that once I get used to the controls, the game is going to be something that I am going to very much enjoy. Because I'm looking at it. It looks basically like, basically what I enjoyed with Rocket League, but it is more intuitive because you're not just like slamming into a ball and trying to get into a goal. You are actually playing a game of basketball. I don't really have a basketball game that I'm playing, not just on the Switch, but on any console. So I really feel, because I saw, if you follow on Twitter or Blue Sky, Stealth 40K, he said that he basically doesn't think that it's going to be, it's basically a miss for Nintendo. And I personally feel like it is going to be considered a hidden gem, kind of, similar to ARMS when ARMS came out. I think that people who are going to take a chance, and there's going to be people who just are going to get the game, even if they maybe didn't, even if they tried the global thing like me. Like, now, so first off, I purchased the game. I got it. It's loaded on my system. I'm just waiting for the release date, and then the game is going to be accessible for me. So right now, like I said, I didn't enjoy the global test, but I was talking with a YouTuber named Player Essence, and I mentioned to him, hey, I don't think the controls are great. And he said, listen, the problem with the controls, and he's got a lot of experience, not just in games, but in sports in general. He said, your brain doesn't understand the controls, the motion of basically moving this chair around to turn, because we're so used to basically, well, to paraphrase what he was trying to get at, is that we're so used to, turning our, gaze and whatnot with the right stick, usually on a controller, or moving with the left stick, that we're not used to the fact that we're basically moving on now a rail system where we're moving wheels on a wheelchair, and to turn we have to now move one arm to turn. And I think, if I understand what I was doing wrong, because I was having a hard time like even facing myself in the right direction. I think because they have a brake system with like L2 and not L2, ZL and ZR. L2 and R2 are PlayStation controller names for the buttons. But it's basically ZL and ZR on the Switch controller, on the Joy-Con. So that's your brake for each wheel of your well, I call it a chair. Most people call it a wheelchair. Nintendo calls it a vehicle. That is their official naming of it. So you have to turn, and then I guess brake when you're at the direction you want to be, and that's what I was not doing. And once I get that control through my head, because I saw a review just now from Nintendo Life, and they showed that there are like obstacle courses that you can go through as kind of like challenges in, I guess you would call them challenges, or like, missions or whatnot in the game that you could do. And he said some of them are pretty hard, but once you get yourself used to it, I guess that's basically Nintendo's way of giving you a training grounds on how to maneuver and play the game. So to me, so basically back to what Player Essence was saying, he was basically saying that your brain doesn't understand how to move in the game just yet, because he was having a problem with the controls too, but he didn't seem frustrated like I did, because he I guess he kind of understands that once he has more time with it, he'll be able to figure it out. And I agree with that. That's why I picked it up, because I said I want this game to work, because I like the concept of it. So I'm just going to give it more time. And then once I have it in hand, I'll be able to basically go through, like, I guess you don't have to do matches. You could just go through like the parks and learn how to drive and maneuver your vehicle or chair. So, then that is why I ultimately that I bought the game, because the global, was it the global demo or whatever you want to call it that they did, the 3 spots. Yes, there was plenty of time, but like I got in there, and I personally, the way I am, with the way I play stuff, I played it, got a little frustrated, said, okay, I'm good. It's not for me. Then I tried it again. I said, okay, it's not for me. But then I talked with Player Essence after the second time, because he was, streaming at the time. And I was able to express my frustration with the controls. And he basically, said that. And it made me think, what, this may be a thing that I kind of do with games, where I'm just like, I get frustrated with them, and I'm like, I put them down. I'm like, it's not for me. So maybe I just need to get in there and play more, because I want the game to work. I want it to be a good game. So I just basically have to give it the time it needs to do what it has to do, and let me learn the controls, so that way I can then, once I understand the controls, then it's just about playing the game. And then, so what does the game kind of offer? According to what Nintendo Life said, so first off, the game right now, as of today, it is Wednesday. Was it August 13th? I think it's the 13th, yeah. So as of today, the game has like a 59 to 60 on I guess it's Metacritic, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. So it's not a great review, but I have a feeling a lot of reviewers did what I did, where basically reviewers, listen, they don't have ample time to spend, hours on a game like that. And it probably a lot of reviewers, they play their games basically on easy, and don't really live up to some challenges. Some of the people that are tasked with reviewing these games for these sites, so a lot of them probably got frustrated with those controls, and it only takes a few bad scores to really tank a Metacritic. So like I said, I think that if you want to play Dragon Drive, and you're saying to yourself, oh, well, I don't know if it's going to be a game I'm going to like, I think this is a game that you have to put time into, because the controls, The controls are something that we have not seen before from a game. So once you get used to the controls, and you're going to have to put time in, unless your brain can just figure everything out, like I said, I think braking is going to be key to figuring stuff out. There's also ways to like bounce up on one wheel, or even bounce up in the air to jump, because I saw one of the challenges, you kind of have to jump over like a jump rope that's going through to maneuver through something. So I don't know if you have to like jump over that, if that's, kind of like, so that technique is something you may need in the challenges. I mean, that would just count as a trick when you do your shot, if you jumped up in the air and then shoot your ball with like a wrist flick. So that would be that. But yeah, I think if you are okay with taking the time to master the controls, which I think braking is key, because that's something that I wasn't doing. I was just turning and then not braking when I was doing the turning. So maybe do it like that, like go forward, and then when you want to go left or right, hit like the brake. So do that, and then that'll give you a good turn. Yeah, so I think if you, like I said, if you're willing to put time into the controls, this is going to be a good game. If you're going to turn it on, play it for a few minutes and be like, oh, these controls are not for me, you're going to be like, why did I purchase this game? But I think that once you master the controls, the actual game of the basketball, and then also if you could play with friends, because you could do this with game chat. You could either play with friends or you play with randoms online. So you'll play with friends and then bots, or just randoms online. That is the way the matchmaking, according to Nintendo Life, is so far with the game. Who knows if Nintendo will change that in the future. But yeah, I mean, that is my thoughts on Dragon Drive. I think it's going to be a sleeper hit, because the people that are going to put the time into it are going to find a lot of depth and fun in the game. And then people who basically don't want to put in the effort. But, a lot of people may see, because I have a feeling there's going to be people who are basically going to make, videos of the game, playing it, and having a good time, and just doing like crazy, like amazing shots and tricks and different things. Once people start seeing that kind of stuff, they're going to say, I want to do that. And it's going to motivate more people to give the controls a fair shot and get into it. And I think that is what is going to catapult it into hidden gem status on the Switch, with so many people who are just going to write it off and say, it's not for me. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell notification to know when I put up videos. I'm trying to do videos 8 p.m. every day. On the weekends, I am not doing discussions as well. I'll be discussing stuff. I'll be doing more like try to do more like reviews or something a little different on the weekends. But we may get a discussion if I just run into so many ideas and topics that I want to talk about. So yeah, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and you have a good one. Later.